literally the first day, I was just thrown into a world that I've never known. Some of the cameramen were big lads, 6 foot odd, muscular, training Krav Maga, really fit and strong. I used to go to the local gym, and once or twice I've been chased out of the gym by gang members who recognised me. So I once had a bloke try to glass me in a bar. So I thought, I don't want any more trouble. Being pushed by members of the public, followers, and Bobby's UK-wide. So I've already contacted the Home Office. He's resisted arrest, he's punched the officer, and he's carrying a weapon. The police have apologised to him, and then they've fired the Bobby.
Welcome to the Pocket Sergeant podcast, where we uncover the real stories behind the uniform. Today's guest is someone whose face you'll recognise from one of the UK's most watched police shows, the Police Interceptors. But behind the flashing blue lights, Ben Pearson's story is one of trauma and remarkable resilience. From dealing with PTSD to rebuilding his life through YouTube and writing books, Ben, thanks for coming on this podcast.
Thank you very much, Paul, for inviting me. It means a lot, and I'm sorry it's taken so long to get here.
We're here, though.
We are, yeah, eventually, because last time your Riverside didn't work.
Yes. Yeah, thanks for telling everyone. Yeah, my fault.
No worries.
What first drew you to the police?
Always. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
40.
Right, all right, so I'm 49, so child at 70s, always obsessed by early 80s cop programmes, T. Joker, Chips, Ardcastle, McCormick, Dempsey, Makepeace, all these sort of like, it were a proper era where the 80s for TV programmes, TV shows on police. The Bill obviously came out in the mid-80s and things like that. And I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to be Frank Puncharello riding on California Highway Patrol motorbike. You probably won't know who this is at all.
No, but you crack on.
I'm going to send you the intro of Chips when we're done. And then when you're a kid and you're like 7-year-old watching this motorbike go down California Highway freeway kind of thing, I just like, I want to do it. I need to do it. But I'm thick as two shot planks. I'm dyslexic. It wasn't picked up on at school. It were only picked up after school. I think I've got slight dyspraxia as well, which comes under heavy pressure. And I've just literally, my school life was loads and loads of good fun, but just not really academic. And I just thought I'd never be able to get in. And then one day I was coming home from my friend's house. He lives opposite me at the moment, one of my best friends. And the shop blew up in front of me. It literally like Hollywood movie. It just exploded all the way across, flames everywhere. I got out of my car, there were another lad got out of his car, run to the front of the shop, and I could see a man laying there, flames everywhere. And I went in to try and get him, and I ended up burning my hands. I could feel my face start to tighten up and start to burn. And we pulled this bloke out, and this bloke was like 70% singed. He was literally, it barbecued himself, so to speak. A car skidded up, and this bloke was picked up, thrown in the car, and I went. It turns out he was owner at the shop trying to do an insurance job, trying to set all these gas canisters up, and when he were doing it, obviously it's gone up and blown up. I've still got a news article upstairs, so what I could do is I could take a photo of it, send it to you, and you could obviously, if you wanted to overlay it and show people.
Yeah, that
and then
sounds
when
good.
police come and did statements and things like that, I were a bit like, I like this. I really do like. That's the first time I've ever been involved in something that I like this, and I realised that in theory I wasn't sheltered, but I realised there were two different lives. There were what we live in now, and then there were the. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
So the criminal shitbag element of life, and that really intrigued me. And then it were only when I started selling motorbikes for a famous TT rider's family. Everyone that was selling motorbikes to do BMW motorbikes, they were all bobbies. They were all coming in and saying, you know, you seem like you've got right attributes. Have you thought about joining? And I'm like, yeah, as a kid, but not now. I sell motorbikes. And they said, you should put your application in. Put my application in for me, did my carousel, did my fitness test, and literally did an interview. Then I got this letter come through from West Yorkshire Police, and I opened it, checking, opened it up. Congratulations, you are 1965. You start 1st of October 2001. You're going to be based at Keighley in West Yorkshire. You start Bishop Gav training in Wakefield. And I'm like, is this it? Is this how easy it is? But it's not. Getting in for me was the easiest part. Literally the first day, I was just thrown into a world that I've never known. I've come from a world of manual labour. I come from a world of builders, tilers, golf course greenkeepers. So everything I do, I can do with my hands, but I can't do with my head. And then when they said, right, sit in front of a computer, switch Word on, and I'm like a chimp banging on computer, not knowing what was going on. I didn't know what an email was. Don't forget, this is 2000, 2001. it's only started like coming in middle to late 90s. There's all this www.com, internet flowing everywhere word, and no idea. So I had to be shown as a child, literally one finger typing, and that's where my career literally started going down the. I've got to learn. I've got to have this steep learning curve, and yeah, never look back.
And you've gone from joining the job, from your influence in TV and that explosion that you talked about there, to then being thrust into the spotlight on national TV with the Police Interceptors. Did you feel any pressure to perform for the cameras at the time?
There wasn't so much pressure to perform for cameras, because what they do is they give you the, like, it's a bit like a green card saying, we'll always protect you, we'll never make you look bad. If you end up getting into a fight and it gets out of control, we'll try and help. Some of the cameramen were big lads, 6 foot odd, muscular, training Krav Maga, really fit and strong. So you were always kind of thinking, I know someone would be there if it ever did come off really bad. If something were bad, graphic like fatals or anything, they wouldn't be filming it. If something were bad in regards to... So you never really had that fear that you were going to be doing something wrong or do something out of order and think, I swore at someone, like as we see news at the moment. I never had that issue. The pressure you have with it is you've got a golden ticket. And I know it sounds really stupid. So they'll go out with people that think will be okay on TV, that they'll look all right on TV. I don't mean as in like physically. I mean as in like they won't be bumbling or they won't be nervous. They'll literally just go and do the job they're paid to do.
Yeah.
But when you get the cameraman in the car, you can cherry pick the jobs. So you are basically like an ANPR, a proactive unit, and you can cherry pick the jobs.
Hey, that sounds like some I know from Response. Cherry picking jobs.
But it is, so that's really good. But the fact is then, that's the pressure then, because you've realised, hang on, I don't have to listen to radio if I don't want to. I've got to find something. And then the idea being is, if you find a good job and you have a good pursuit or whatever it is, that's the golden ticket. So that's the main story on Interceptors when it starts.
Yeah.
And then within the first 5 minutes of going out with cameraman, I saw a car, I thought, don't like that, turned around on it, it made off. And they went, no, that's your golden ticket. That's it, you're done. That's your first story. I went, all right then, fine. That's all right. Turned back around, saw a car, went for it, made off. It went, and I think within first, I can't remember what it was, but just say within first 2 days, we had like 7 golden tickets. So seven main intercept stories. And then once you get one, your first one for a day, you can sort of like relieve that bit. I've done it. But there were some days that come in with you and there were nothing. And we're in Bradford here where literally it's shooting fish in a barrel. You've got, turn out Nick, and there's like 20 people, no seatbelt, mobile phones, stolen cars, no insurance. There was nothing. You're driving around, it's like a ghost town. You're like, I can't stop. And there's nothing to stop. There's no logs on radio. There's just nothing going on. You're like at a football match, a main tournament. There's nothing going on. And then if something did come in, it'd be a fist fight or it'd be a bit of a pub disturbance. So it wasn't really TV material, if that makes sense. And that was the main pressure. Coming back in and saying we aren't adult, and they're like, you're patrolling Bradford, how can you not have out? And some days you just, you know what it's like, some days you just didn't get anything. So they were the major pressures with it all. But yeah, one of these things you can look back on and say, I'm glad I did it and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you kind of answered my my next question there with that one, because I was going to ask what the cameras didn't show, but that's you've listed some good examples there that it wasn't a case of going to everything. It was a case of picking and choosing, essentially, what you went to. Whose decision was it? Who the camera people went with? Was that supervisors or was that the TV production company?
A bit of both, really, because we have people on. So I've got an actual white streak in my hair, and we filmed traffic cops loads at Bradford and West Yorkshire. And I've always been one of these, I'm never getting involved because I get recognised off duty everywhere I go anyway. So I used to go to the local gym, and once or twice I've been chased out of gym by gang members who recognise me because of my white streak. So put a baseball cap on when I go to gym, and I've always like, I don't need more trouble. You used to go to restaurants. I once had a bloke try to glass me in a bar because I was just a bobby, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. He just literally came behind me and looked at door staff intervened. So I thought, I don't want any more trouble. And it's only when you're on it, you realise that it doesn't give you any more trouble. It actually boosts the people around you that like you, and then criminals see you with amount of respect, saying, "Oh, I can see the human behind the uniform, so to speak." So there's a lot of bobbies that come in at work and be like, "No, I'm not doing that." They have that mindset of, it's not for me. So you might have out a team of 10, you might have a set of 5 that want to do it. Obviously, some people will be on leave, some people will be caught, and then you'll have some people that will just come in and go, "It's not happening for me today. I've had no sleep. I'm tired." So you'll have a niche 1 or 2 that always want to sort of like do it, but then the cameramen will look and go, they're funny. And I work with, I call Baby Ben all the time, and me and him were like Laurel and Hardy, and I think they could see the synergy we had with each other. That's what makes the TV. It's like not so much the jobs, it's how you are, it's how you deal with them. I can't remember who was on TV, whether it's Interceptors or Motorway Cops at the moment. It's filmed in North East or up by Durham or somewhere like that. And the lads and lasses that are on it are just so funny. They've let them be themselves rather than be, "No, you need to do this." And that's what makes people like, that's what made people, I mean, the amount of messages I've had from people over the last, say, 5, 6, 7 years. I've joined the police because of what you did. I joined the police because I saw how you worked. And that's what you want people to be doing. You want people to see you as a human being and say, look, they're out there to do good. And I think that's what they look for in the people. They want the positive messages. And yeah, we'll all go out, we'll all get stuff wrong. I'll swear on TV. I swore a lot. But they said, yeah, look, they cut it out. What they won't do is they won't go to any fatals, any serious RTCs where it's going to cause offence, anything to do with babies or young children or anything like that. They want action and fun jobs. And if you give them that, they're happy.
See, I think times are changing in the job. And you've mentioned there about things being really chilled out, having a laugh and a joke. I bet during points there would have been dark humour or dark banter between you and the producers, etc.
Yeah.
Can you... If a cop did that now, what is likely to happen to them? Like if I'm having a dark bit of dark banter or dark humour with TV producers or whatever, you've seen what's been happening recently, and we'll touch on that in a little while. Are these shows going to continue because of what's happening to cops?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think I think we're on. I don't know if the right word is precipice. Is that the right word? I think we're on an edge.
Yeah.
And I've looked at this. I sit back and I watch things, and I watch from a civilian, and I watch from ex-job, and I watch now from a media perspective of what I do. And I'm working a lot with Home Office, and we're trying to build the trust, the bridges. I once said I'd never work with Met because of what happens down at Met and all that stuff. Went down at Met, fantastic people. They're brilliant. And you can understand why there's certain things happen because they've got so many officers and it just cannot be contained, if that makes sense. You can't have 55,000 officers and on the scale of good to bad, not expect some bad ones in there that have got through the process, if that makes sense. They need to be whittled out and they need to be gone. So I'm like working alongside Met. I want to boost people. I want to boost kids looking at us. I want to boost adults saying, I can do that job. I want to do that job. But I think we're on this precipice at the moment, if that's the right word, where it's going to break. We're going to break the police system, or we're going to break everything. And what we either need to do is go back to literally scrap everything we've done, scrap everything we do, and we rebuild. Literally, this is how it's going to be. And I don't care how you think or you feel, this is how it's going to be. Or we've gone completely wrong way, and it's all gone wrong. And then we're just going to have to suck it up every single time it goes wrong. And yeah, there'll be no shows, there'll be no X, Y, and there'll be. And I think personally, we need a full reboot. And I've said, you can put me in charge, and I think in a week we'll have cut down crime, we'll have cut down injury, we'll cut down stabbings, because what people are scared to do is they're scared to do what the majority of people think. And I'm sorry if I'm going to sound a little bit blunt with this, so I'll say this really quickly. The UK is built into two sets of people. It's built into good people, everyday people, your mum, your nan, your Uncle Barry who goes to work in wherever, in Steelyard, your cousin James who has got a paper round at 30, just good people that want to help other people, that just want to have a nice life, they just go to work, they go on holiday, do the thing. The other set of people are what I call shitbags. So you've got good people and shitbags. Shitbags are built into two separate people, or two separate groups. One of them's criminals, and the other one's mourners and takers. And the world, or in the UK now, looks after criminals and mourners and takers. It doesn't do anything for the good people of the world or the good people of the UK. And what it should do is spin its polarity around and do it all for the good people of the UK. Ignore the criminals, ignore the shitbags and mourners, because that is where it's all going wrong now. Like, as you said, I don't know if we're going to touch on this lad or this story or anything like that.
Yeah, is it Lawn Castle you're about to refer to?
Yeah, so they've apologised to your lad who's been involved in an assault and some sort of incident at McDonald's, is resisted arrest, is punched the officer and is carrying a weapon. The police have apologised to him, and then they've fired the bobby. So that is the same thing of what I'm saying. There's two worlds. There's the good people, Lawn Castle, and there's the criminals, takers and mourners. And the police apologised to the takers and mourners. And like,
now you've mentioned Lawn, we might as well talk about it now.
Do it.
So, I've got my view. Have you seen the footage?
Yeah.
So he's called out to a job towards the end of his shift. I think he was due off. And whatever reason, the shift that had just come on didn't shout up for the job. So he goes out with a colleague. My understanding is that this lad was potentially masked up. I don't know whether that's right or not. With others, that quickly became apparent as soon as he started getting hands on. He goes in all guns blazing, and you'll have been taught the same probably. In personal safety training in the police, you're told you don't necessarily have to go into a situation down here. Yeah. Hello, sir, how are you? We've had a report of this, report of that. Depending on the situation, depends on the level in which you go in at. For me, I feel that he went in at the right level, given...
I do.
Yeah, given the situation at the time. And to be honest, I can't believe what we're seeing at the moment.
Well, I've been pushed by members of the public, followers, and Bobby's UK-wide to say something. So today or tomorrow I'm going to be doing a video tagging certain people into it and doing X, Y, and Z. Will it hold any gravitas? I don't know, but they've basically asked me for my feelings and if there's anything. So I've already contacted the Home Office. Whether they can do anything, I don't know, because like I said, I work alongside them. But to have an officer fired for using rude language is just beyond me, because I've used that language thousands upon thousands of times. I've watched that arrest. There's nothing wrong with that arrest. If I showed that video, what people do is they see 2 and 2 and make 6. So you see the visual aspect and you hear the audio aspect. And people then will go, oh, it's so big and heavy. If you watch that video, I can't say watch that video and close your eyes, but if you put that video on and close your eyes and say one's a member of the public who's apparently been involved in an assault or something at McDonald's, he's got a knife on him, he's resisting arrest and has assaulted a PC. The other one's the PC trying to affect the arrest. You close your eyes, you just said nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it at all. Then you watch the video with no language on it, nothing wrong with it at all. People put 2 and 2 together and they'll make 4. Oh, it's disgusting, is that? They had that retired superintendent on from Met the other day. I think he's called Leroy, I can't remember what it's called. And he was saying, this officer's disgusting, this officer needed firing. And you're like, you've just got no idea what these officers face on a day-to-day basis.
So out of touch. And I think this is one of the issues.
These lads are carrying knives, they're carrying bats, they're carrying weapons. So let's put it on the other way around then. That officer goes in, nice and nicely, softly, and the lad pulls out a knife. What happens then? What happens to the officer? What happens if the officer gets stabbed? Look at the bobby outside Parliament who was stabbed. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who's going to stab you, who's not going to stab you. And not to have the backing of your own force, I think, is disgusting. And I've said this before, the SLT need calling out, IOPC needs calling out, the people who did the, what's it called, when you go to the, not tribunal,
the gross misconduct
hearing, yeah, the hearings, they need calling out, because if this is the level they want police to get to, they want to stop before they get involved in anything, ask someone their name, be kind, polite, respectful, courteous to someone who's just broken the law, suspected breaking the law, and carrying a knife, and they're going to resist. It's just beyond me. It's just back to what I've said. Two separate people, nice people, good people, mourners, criminals, shitbags. And I think, what are we doing? What are we doing as a society? So I said, what we should do. Have you been to Spain?
Yes.
You've been to Spain. So
Yeah.
right now, we just got to Guardia Civil.
Yeah.
What we should do is literally, we're all armed, we don't talk to you, we're literally not involved with you in any way, shape or form, and when we come out, we'll come out guns blazing. I don't mean shooting people, I mean, we come out guns blazing, all hell, literally sweep up and we're gone. And we're not integrating, we're not dealing with anything mental health wise, we're not dealing with any social services, we're not dealing with anything. It's literally, this is it, because if we can't win by doing the normal job, we've either gone too far softly, or we need to go completely. There's no middle ground for this. We've gone too far. I remember one of the last jobs before I came off police, and it were a lad in Leeds. And it were a lad we'd known for years, is what you call as a typical shitbag, rung 999, been out on a bender. I need you to come pick me up. And he was, we're not a taxi service. And I remember the call coming through, well, if you don't pick me up, I'm going to hurt myself. And you've now got a duty of care, police contact. If he didn't, obviously, and he hurt himself, police contact, police get hauled over at calls. And we only knew he wanted to live back to Keighley. So we dropped him off at Keighley and he starts laughing. And I'm just thinking, this is where, would that work with fire brigade? Would fire brigade come out for you and pick you up? And why the police? And this is what, there's a massive difference between mental health and someone's on the edge of a bridge about to jump off. That's different. But just to do this thing of like, oh, it's police contact, my cat stuck up a tree, I need to order a pizza. It's literally, and we've gone too far. We've gone too far one way, and it's never, ever going to come back unless we have a full reboot. And people won't like it, but how many times you, as a Bobby Stroke civilian, have you phoned the police? How many times have you been stopped and searched by the police? How many times have you had an arm stop on you by the police, like Chris Cabot? How many times? Well, you're not. So if you're surrounding yourself in these circle of people, you've got a duty of care to look after yourself. And if you can't do what you're told when the police get there, I'm sorry, but you need to face every action that's coming, because the police are paid to protect and do a good job. And if you're tying the hands of those people, either the police need to up sticks and say, right, we're not getting involved anymore, we're not doing it, or they'll start leaving in droves, or you change it around and you change it so the police, my house is getting burgled, the police roll up in all these bobcats, they've got all these riot vans, all these high performance cars, get out, kick ass at burglar, sweep him up and he's gone. And then next thing, insurance is paid out, it's all gravy. None of this stuff like he had a knife and we locked him up and he hurt his wrist and he's put a complaint in. It's like, no, you commit a criminal act, you are responsible, done and dusted. Yeah. It's like back to this, you lose your benefits. So it's just, we've gone too far. And it really upsets me from being in media, from being in job and being a civilian, because I won't ring the police now. I won't ring the police for the sake of the fact that I won't want to burden them. I won't ring the police because they're too strapped and they've got too much stuff on the plate. So unless it's, I'm watching something there in like a Hanoi, someone being assaulted, where I jump in myself because I've got a duty of care to help those people. This is what I'm on about, being the good person. And it's just a bewildering world out there, and it's only getting worse.
If you got a message for Lorne Castle, what would your message be to him at the moment?
My message would be, stay strong, and you've done the right thing. Everybody's behind you in the UK. Well, when I say everybody, apart from your SLT and the people, obviously.
Yeah, and the people that escalated it to professional standards.
There's someone there needs to hang their head in shame, and if they've done that for promotion or a tick, they need to be disgusted with themselves and absolutely let down by those people you are there to work with and protect. And from what I've seen, you're a great Bobby, and you just need to keep doing what you're doing, and it will work out. However it happens, it will work out. But like I said, I'm going to push because I just think this is, like I said, I've just seen so many. The Manchester officers at the airport, this NX121, they're going through years of torment, through people expecting an apology. People don't do it. Don't get involved in a fight in Manchester. Don't start hitting bobbies. Don't punch a police officer in the nose and break the nose. I'm sorry, but it's just, I don't know what else to say, mate. Honestly, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, well, there is a GoFundMe as well. There's been a GoFundMe created by, his former chief inspector, and it's reached probably around £43,000 already. Right. It's just been a few days. So that says a lot in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And this is what I mean. The good people of the world, the good people of the UK, the people that work hard, the people that want bobbies to be there, they'll be just as disgusted as what we are. They'll be just as let down by the system. But if this is what you find, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I said, if someone does something disloyal and trustworthy, you know, how they're doing all this misogynistic stuff now, if they break the law, if they sell drugs, if they do anything, they're out. They need to be out. They need to be kicked out. Then they need to be punished and sent to prison if it's justified to send them to prison. But not for just being on a witch hunt, just for bobbies that have been rude to her. And what gets me as well, they're calling him a child. What child do you know walks around dressed like that, is involved in events like that and carrying a knife? He's not a child.
No.
Yeah, he falls under a certain age. He's not a child. He's a young man, he's a youth. And how many people at that age have killed people? How many people at that age have stabbed people, which has been going on in schools recently, stabbings of young people at schools, all by other young lads, 14, 15, 16. And just because it's an age, it doesn't mean a difference. It doesn't think, right, we should let it go. That has now give carte blanche for every young lad to be able to carry a knife, knowing that the bobby's got to be polite, respectful and kind, or the bobby's going to get fired and you're going to get NFA'd.
Yeah, and actually what you've said there makes a lot of sense, because 15 years old could still be the size physically as an adult. And I remember put something on LinkedIn not long ago about use of force. I remember a job that I went to. It was a 14, 15-year-old lad, trained fighter, in a house causing problems, assaults a colleague. I get my cuffs out, try to put one cuff on, and he just started going ballistic. And I just thought, something's got to give here. I'm going to have to do something different. So I struck him with the cuffs on the top of the nose, thinking this is going to be enough, hopefully, to shock him.
Yeah.
It shocked him all right. He stopped, but there was just a tiny nick on the top of his nose, literally blood everywhere.
Yeah.
But if that happened today, if I had to use that force today, and I don't know, if he's in custody and he has this picture taken, you can guarantee that it'd end up in the press over the following days.
Yeah. But a 16-year-old's good enough to fight an army. You know what I mean? You can join an army at 16, so you can be used as a trained soldier, as a trained killer. But at a 15-year-old, hang on a minute. But we would say, and I just think at this age thing again, I've seen so many lads around my estate. My neighbour's son, he's 16, and he's sometimes walking around with no top. I've never seen someone so muscly and big. Yeah. He's just ginormous, and I'm 6'2" and 18 stone. I thought he'll overpower me. And I just think, well, bobbies need protecting. These people are going out there and giving their lives, and it's not just a life; it's a lifestyle as well. They're missing Christmases, birthdays, weddings. They're giving all that for members of the public they've never met, and then not to have their force stand behind them and say this is out of order. And that lad should have been prosecuted, and he should have been brought to task and made an example of. And this is why kids now think they can do what they want, say what they want, and there's no respect for emergency services anymore. There's no respect for adults, humans, or anything, because they are taught they can do what they want, be who they want, say what they want, and there's no punishment for it. And you can't.
We could literally go on about that all day. It's such
I'll start punching my screen and shouting and bawling.
Going back to you then, something that I did want to cover, and one of the questions that I did have, and I do know your background because I've read your book, the first book,
Thank you.
Handcuffed Emotions, and which was amazing, by the way. For people that don't know your story, can you tell them about the point that you realised that the job had such an effect on you that you couldn't carry on?
Yeah, so 19 years in job, all at West Yorkshire, all in uniform, 15 in traffic. I were a tutor constable, I were a tutor in traffic as well, loved the job, beside with the job. Just a lifestyle of fatals, the most horrendous fatals you could ever think about. Bradford's just full of people that race cars, it's full of urban and rural roads of 150 mile an hour roads. So the fatals we have are just horrendous. I lost my parents very close together. One of them were on duty. I had to go to the hospital, and then gave authority to switch my mum's ventilator off. And I was stood there as the officer in uniform. I gave the nod, the doctor switched the ventilator off, and my mum passed away. So I've always had that, even though it's not, I've always had that feeling that I've killed my mum. I've given authority for my mum to die. And that's because I put that on myself as the officer in uniform. I should have been Ben, but I wanted our PC Pearson at the time, even though it was mum. Within a couple of months, my dad, who's my best friend, tells me he's got terminal cancer. He ends up dying at Christmas time. Sorry, I've missed a bit here. Sorry about that. So we lay my mum to rest. I actually, after my mum died, I went straight back to work because that's what bobbies do. And I got told to go home. But I went, no, I'm fine. Fine to work. It's not an issue. And after I laid my mum to rest, the first day back, I got told to go out in a marked car. I don't know how you can go hide in a marked traffic car, but go hide. First job I went to then were a 2-year-old decapitated by a truck, first day after mum's funeral. And I just got to the scene, and the first job in whatever, 17, 18 years, I were in tears at the scene. Little boy laid in the middle of the road, decapitated. And it really, really did something to me that day. And then obviously my dad sits me down, tells me he's got terminal cancer. After all the jobs, it was straight back to work, where the little boy, Isaac Brocklehurst, fatal. And all these fatals just building up because I wasn't even dealing with the trauma of my mum. I wasn't even dealing with it. I was just thrust back into a lifestyle of deal with this, deal with my shit, forget about your own shit. Deal with my shit, forget about your own shit. I'm more important, I'm a member of the public. Don't forget about yourself.
So was it almost like putting all these things in a box?
Yeah.
And just locking them away, or...
Yeah, so the classification of PTSD, for people that don't understand how it works, is that your life is built on memories and incidents, smells, textures, songs. So you might play a song and, it takes me back to 1965 and I remember so-and-so. I remember this smell, my first girlfriend smelled. So your life's built up on that. That's all your memories. They're in these certain boxes inside. They're all date and time stamped. Then you'll have your trauma boxes. Your trauma are your black boxes. So when something's happened to you, you put it in a black box. This has gone on from when you were first born. You might have been 6. Something happened. 8. Something happened. If you were sexually abused, something happened. Put it in this box. These boxes stack up and up and up and up. And they go all the way up. Imagine them going up 200 feet. And then the last box can be something not as bad. You put that on top and it starts to list over. As you look directly up, the only box you can technically see is the end box. You can see that end thing that's made it lean over. But you're not seeing all these boxes down here. So all the PTSD does in theory is it pulls all the timestamps off all the boxes and all your normal memories, all the smells, all the textures, all the songs, everything you've ever watched in your normal bank, pulls it out. And then this black box comes crashing down and they're all interlinked together. So you could be walking through Asda, just talking to your friend, your wife, your girlfriend, then something happens of remembering the child death of something that were on the radio, that's mixed in with your normal life day-to-day routine, with your timestamp, and literally you're drawn straight back, you hear that scene, and you pee yourself in public. And that's how it is. It's nothing's got a date anymore. Nothing's got a correct smell anymore. So you'll have all these trigger warnings. What you've got to do is go all the way back to the beginning of the trauma, find out which was the beginning of the trauma, and start dealing with each one independent. I never dealt with my mum, and there were Isaac on top of that. Then there were a fatal. This doesn't take into account the 19 years of fails before this and what's happened in life in general, my normal day-to-day life. This is just at this time in the police. Fail. My dad, fail. And I remember getting out at a bump on Rural Lane in Bradford, something and nothing. A gentleman had a cut on his hand. And I remember pulling up in X5, our passenger, and baby Ben were driving, and we got out, and as my head came under air pillar on car, and my foot touched the floor, I remember the lad holding his hand up. As soon as my head had come out, it was like I'd left everything in the car. Didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was, didn't know a police officer. People talking to me, and all I could hear were when they were talking to me. Peed myself. Just, you don't have control of this. It's not like you go, I'm doing it now. Basically, your brain has got to that point where it's looking at all these images on the floor, all these trauma books, all these black boxes, all these date timestamps. And it gets to a certain point, like with your computer, your CD-ROM, your memory's full, your hard drive's done, and it'll just go, boo. And basically your brain will shut down to save itself. I can't cope with any more information going in. I've got all these stuff to sort out in background, and you're flooding me with more information that I've got to take in. So your brain will shut down. It'll allow you to breathe. It'll allow you to eat. It'll allow you to piss and shit, and it'll allow you to sleep. And that's all it'll do. It won't let you function. It won't let you talk a lot of time. It'll just want you to cry. So I just literally just that were it. Went home, got referred straight to mental health unit. First whatever they call it, first response mental health unit, Bradford District Care, and then the bitch just said you've gone. You're 6 beers short of a 6-pack. You're ding ding cuckoo, 3 sheets to the wind, however you want to put it. And luckily for me, COVID was just coming in, and that's what saved my life. If COVID didn't allow me the time to lay in bed and start to try and heal, like a month in bed, get up, have a shower, month in bed, get up, go downstairs, month in bed, and then start to rebuild with the therapy and everything else, I'd have took myself a long time ago. I wouldn't have been here. And I'm not afraid to say that. I've had multiple attempts of doing stuff. And again, I'm not afraid to say that. I'm still in therapy 5 years down the line. I pay for it myself. It's £75 a week out of my own money. And people don't realise this. Oh, you're retired, you're living high life. No, I'm not. I'm mortgaged, I'm 67. I don't have a pot of money in bank. I've got to find money every week to pay my bills. I've got to find £75 a week for my therapy. I've got to pay for my own medication that I'm on, 40 milligrams of citalopram every week. This is what people don't understand. People think, oh, you've gone now and it's all great. And it's like, no, I'm still traumatized. I've still got the issues. But what I've got to do, I've got to decide what route I'm going to be going down. Do I go down the suicide route or do I go down the depression route? And I've tried to find an average in the middle where I'm plateaued due to the talking that I do, the therapy that I do, to talking to people like yourself that I do, and still surrounding myself in a mentality state of I'm still connected to the police. So that still holds me in a certain barrier. Now, people have said this to me before. Why do you still deal with stuff in the police? I'll never be a Bobby again. I'm signed off as I'll never be a Bobby. I'll never be in emergency services again. But if I stopped, my life was, when I retired, was to like literally get a job stacking shelves at Aldi until fit enough. Just ignoring the world, stacking shelves. All this has come on top of me. All the what I do, the books, the YouTube, the lecturing. I never asked for any of it. But then if you can be given a platform and a platform for good, you use it for good. The day, and I'm being honest with you about this, the day the teams and the force literally pushed me out the door and left me, because my own team did it, they washed their hands of me straight away after 19 years. They just literally not talking to you, delete you off WhatsApp groups, delete you off Facebook. You won't realise you're a team colleague, not a friend, when you thought you were a friend.
Yeah.
And then when your identity goes and you realise you're not in the job and you realise you've got no friends at work and you realise no one really were bothered about the jobs that you did, even though you give 19 years, and you realise that you are a colour number, and then that the job you've had a passion to do all your life since you were a child, well, to me, well, right, there's no reason to be here anymore. I'm going to take myself. So the reason I keep in with the forces and see, because it still gives me that it's like window shopping. I can still see the life that I could have had on the outside, but I don't have any responsibilities. I don't see any of the trauma. I don't drive in the cars. I don't do anything bad with them. I don't see dead bodies. I literally go, have a camera in my face, talk about the police cars or whatever I do, and I go home. And for me, I get to have the best of the both worlds with it.
Yeah, and so going into that then, so we see a lot of TV Ben, YouTube Ben, but you do speak openly about PTSD, which is great. But what do people not see? I know you've touched on some of it already, but like a typical day for Ben and a typical bad day for Ben, even though in between you're shooting these YouTube videos of happy Ben. So
on a day-to-day level, happiness, I'd say I'm a 60% of a happiness level. This is due to medication and everything. When I've got to switch it on for YouTube, I switch it on, hi, this sort of thing, because that's work, that pays bills. That's, in theory, but you're not that person. And then when you meet people on the street or you meet followers, you're always like, hi, how are you doing? You're all that sort of thing. And you're kind, you're polite, because they're the people that follow you. On my hardest days, the day when I'm really struggling, I have to stay in bed, stay on couch, and I literally just sleep all day. I don't want to interact with my family and my children. I'm just literally wanting to sleep. I'm just physically ruined. I still sleep 4 hours a night, so I'm constantly tired. I'll never really sleep any more than that. The medication keeps me on an even keel. Right, so on a day-to-day level, this is what people don't see. I can't be trusted in regards to anything to do with money because I don't remember it. I can't be trusted in a position of superiority or a supervisor thing, because I'll give you an example. I went to lecture down south, got off the train, left everything I had on the train, just walked off, got to hotel. Where's my bags? Where's my suit? Just left it all. I need to be chaperoned if I go so far out of my area, because I can't drive that far. I'm constantly tired. I can do 2 hours a day and I burn myself out. I come down in the morning, can't remember. We've got a big calendar and I have post-it notes all over. Our last rights, washing in, so-and-so. My school's up road, half a mile up road. I sometimes get into school and I ring our lass and I can't remember where I've got to pick kids up from, even though my kids are 8 and 11 and I've been picking up there for the last 7 or 8 years. I can't remember where I'm picking up. I can't remember who I'm picking up. I don't remember things more than probably a couple of days ago. I've got massive memory losses. I'm constantly lethargic. I cry myself to sleep most nights. I do wake up happy and I do go to bed happy, if that matters, in like, I ain't dealt with a fatal. I'm half the man I was. I can't drive properly like I used to do. I drive a car now just like Mrs. Miggins does. I'm scared of loud noises. I can't watch anything to do with death on TV, whether it's a soap opera. I can't see anything to do with children.
Have you since all of this happened? I don't know how to ask this question. You still experience all of this now. Does it get easier? Does it get better? Is it easier to deal with as time goes on? I think what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The idea is I've got a fantastic therapist called Gina, and I've had a separate therapist. I've had EMDR, CBT. I've had hypnotherapy. Have you had NLP?
Have you tried that?
No. So the one that I'm having now with Gina, that is CBT, but she's doing it a slightly different way. And basically, the grounding techniques she's taught me are really, really good. She's taught me more about living in the moment. It's okay, not when your mind's not your friend. So it's exactly how it was, but it's easy to deal with because what I can do now, where before I'd wake up and I'd go, right, I'm doing this, and I'd get halfway through it and I'd end up breaking and pissing myself on a job or doing something, I can wake up now and think, right, how am I feeling today? Right, I can do 5 hours or I can do 4 hours. I can feel something coming on. If there's a trigger, I know how to ground myself. So it becomes easier to live with. The illness doesn't become easier. It's just that I've had the illness now I've been out of police 5 years this October. So I've had the illness in theory for 6 years plus.
Yeah.
And I've had therapy for 6 years plus. And that was when people say, well, you don't look like something wrong with you. Well, you don't, because what am I supposed to look like?
Yeah.
It's all in your brain. And when your brain doesn't work, your body doesn't work. It's like when these people break the spinal column. If your brain doesn't work, your body doesn't work. And your brain's not working how it does. Your brain, it's like I'll go out to wash a car and I'll get all the stuff set out. I'll open garage, I'll open out car, and I'll sit in front of TV, watching TV. And I'll just like, what are you doing? I'm just watching TV. Well, what are you doing with your car? What do you mean, what am I doing with the car? Well, all the stuff's and you look out window like, what the fuck? When did all that happen? And this is what people don't understand. People think you look, and I look fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then the thing is as well, because I did the TV and the following was there, I do the thing because it's what I can do. Now, I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't want any of this. It's just that I'm doing it because people like what I do and it pays the bills. If it stopped tomorrow, it wouldn't break my heart. I'd just go down to work at Aldi. But I've got to be able to do what I can do with the skills that I've been given. Can't drive fast anymore. Can't do MOE anymore. Can't do right training anymore. I can't work at golf course where I used to work at golf course because it's got machinery and every machinery, and I'm not allowed to be trusted with every machinery and blades and that sort of thing. Can't be in a supervisory role. Can't work down at Alan Jeffries selling motorbikes because I can't use money. Can't take money. What do you want me to do? So one said, why don't you go work at garden centre? They won't employ me at garden centre because it's heavy lifting and there's knives, there's forks, and they're like, and so you try and go for a job now and say, right, I'm slightly suicidal, don't want to tell you how many times, I've got severe mental health problems, I'm suffering from depression, anxiety, I'll do X, Y, well, what's your skills? Well, I can drive a car at 160 miles an hour and wrestle a burglar. Yeah, what all we do is put like buns on top shelf there, can you do buns? And you're like, yeah, well, sorry, you're just not really cut out. You try and get a job. And now it's all right for everyone else to sit there and go, oh, yeah, right, well, so-and-so can get... You try and get a job coming from a police background where your skills are selling motorbikes and driving a fast car and say, can you employ me, but I'm suicidal. I might not be able to come in tomorrow because I might have a bit of a meltdown. I cry constantly and I can't remember what I'm doing. I can't be trusted in supervisory role and money role. And they literally just laugh at you. So I'm doing now what I want to do. And it makes me feel good. I do lectures on mental health, and all I do is talk how I'm talking like to you now. I'll tell my story, and when I sit down with people and I tell them, I get standing ovations, and they love it because I just tell them how I feel. And there's no bullshit, there's no mollycoddling, and there's so many people in regards to not just the emergency services but life in general, where they look at me and go, oh, yeah, you've had a lot of trauma. But my trauma is different to Jenny, who works down the street and she works in an admin office. Her trauma might be she's getting divorced from her husband and her trauma level's up there. Just because someone's on a trauma doesn't mean theirs is any worse than what yours is. Jason Fox, who ex-SBS, his trauma level is probably 10 times my level.
Yeah.
But you don't look at it, what you do is you look how it's affecting you. And you look about the ability to talk to people and you look about pulling them out of the darkness and back into the light. And then, like I said, suicide's the biggest killer of men under 50. It's a global pandemic. It kills more people than cancer. What we're doing about it? Telling people there's something wrong with you, your brain's gone. And the amount of bobbies that I've worked with that basically said, there's nothing wrong with you, get a grip. You're faking. Well, I'm faking turning my mum's ventilator off. I'm faking the fact that my best friend died. I'm faking the 2-year-old I'm faking crying in front of people, and because all I wanted to do was come out and write a book knowing it we're going to be successful. Knowing how we're going to fall into YouTube.
But that is because people don't understand, and hopefully by you continuing to talk about it, people... I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand how you feel and how you can feel like that.
Yeah. So let me put this on there. More women attempt suicide than men. I don't know if you know this. But more women don't go through with it than men because women find it easy to talk to a friend. When men go through suicide, they do it in a graphic way because what they don't want to do is fail at committing suicide. So that's why they butcher themselves or do something in a graphic way because they don't want to fail. They don't want to be a failure in life, fail in a marriage, fail as a dad, and they think, I can't even commit suicide. My worst point, I filled the bath up with boiling water, stripped naked, had a knife on my wrist, started pushing the knife in my wrist. And I'm too much of a pussy. I'm too much of a pussy to be able to kill myself. I am that weak as a man where I don't even have backbone to continue doing what I'm doing. And all these people that turn their back on you, that are meant to be so-called friends, you tell me when you're going through that, you ring me up and I'll come round to your house and I'll give you a cuddle. But not one person's come round to my house and give me a cuddle. And when you're a dad of two and you're risking everything to basically turn around and say, I'm done with the world, I've had enough. You realise who your friends are and you realise what impact you can make by saying to someone, I'll always be there for you. I'll always put my hands around you. Members of the public I've never met before. If you fall, I'll pick you up. If you're injured, I'll tend to your wounds. And if you're struggling, I'll put my arms around you and tell you it's always going to be all right and I'll be your corner.
Yeah, and you've made a good point there. And I know I touched on your book Handcuffed Emotions earlier. I remember reading Handcuffed Emotions for the first time, and it absolutely blew me away. Your story and how honest you were. And I don't know if you remember this, but I reached out to you on X or Twitter. It probably was then.
As the pocketbook sergeant.
Yeah. Just saying, Ben, I've just read your book. I hope you're okay. because I kind of lived a little bit of what you go through on a daily basis. So if you are interested in mental health, if you're struggling, then that book is a really good book. Really, really enjoyed that.
Thank you. We did it because it was meant to be. It's my memoirs in theory of what my therapist said. Write them down. So I went to Pat and we did it together. It's not. It doesn't have what you class as a book context, where books have got to be in a certain way. It's just literally the memoirs of what I wrote down, and we put it together in a book, and that's how it became. And I say to everybody, talk about your feelings, because no mum and dad wants to lay the kid to rest. No kids want to lay the parents to rest because they thought they had nowhere to go. They had no one to talk to. And why we're living in a world where we're in 2025 and people can be who they want. They can be, you could be a Jedi Knight, you could be a trans, non-sexual alpha. I don't understand all this stuff. But you can't be a human being talking to another human being. Where have we lost that? Why have we lost that ability to be able to say, you're all right, and I'm going to listen to your problems? And for 1 hour, I'm putting my issues aside, and I'm going to sit with Paul, and we're going to have a chinwag and make sure everyone's going to be all right. And then when you go about your business, you go out about it with a bit of a better day and a bit of a better step in your journey, if that makes sense.
Moving on, I've got a couple of questions around policing. Have you ever been pulled by the police for anything?
Twice. So I was pulled when I was about 18. I had a little XR2 Fiesta. You might not know what one of them is.
I know what Fiesta is, but not the XR2 bit.
This is the 80s sports car kind of, you know what I mean? And I went down a one-way street the wrong way. I just didn't see the signs. I got to the bottom and there's a traffic cop sat there. And ironically, a lad that I started working with when I joined. And I always remember pulling you as a lad. And it gave me a non-endorsable. I think it was a £60 fine at the time. And I was in tears. I was shaking. All I could do was say, I'm sorry, so much respect for the police. And I owned it. And the other time is I was coming home from work about 3 a.m. and I got pulled over by one of my teammates who didn't know it was my car. This was before I've got a personal reg on. Didn't know it was my car. So like, what's this car doing at this time? And I got pulled over. As soon as he saw me, he went, right, you can go. And that's the only times I've been pulled over. And my advice to people, if they want to get pulled over or they get pulled over, is just literally just be nice. Because all we are is always being nice. Like, making sure your car's not stolen. I remember pulling people over at 3 and 4 in the morning going to airport. And they're like, have you got no better to do? I said, yeah, but would you not want me to stop a 50-gram Merc at 3 in the morning going through a state? And then if you saw my car and go, why have you stopped? I didn't stop it because we just thought it'd be all right. What? A Merc going through a state at 4 in the morning? So you just say, I'm just going to the airport, right? Just making sure you're all right. Enjoy your holiday. And it's just, you know what I mean? It's just part of the job. So if they pull me over, it's just nice. It's nice to have a bit of a chat.
What's the strangest or funniest moment that you've been recognised from Interceptors or whatever?
I suppose in New York, we got off at JFK. We were at the carousel. And then we just heard a load of Americans shouting, Interceptor! Interceptor! And you're just like, yeah.
It's on in America?
It's worldwide.
I didn't know. I didn't realise.
So everything we do, like you've got Channel 5, so you've got stream, everything's available around the world. Do you know what I mean? And you can go, I've got fan mail from I can't remember what it's called. It's like one of these countries that you just never knew existed. Do you know what I mean? And like, you think, where's this? And you got stuff from Venezuela, Mexico. You have stuff from Arab Emirates, New Zealand, Australia. Literally, it's worldwide. And what was the other one? Where was the other one? So I've been on beach in Spain, on beach, and then someone comes past and I love you on TV. And it's just these sort of things where wherever you are, people just recognise you. But for me, it's nice because you know that there's a footing for what you're doing, you're following, and what you do in general. There's been a few times when I'm stood at a bar, or not stood at a bar, in toilets at a bar, but this is like when I've been around world. So I don't mean around world like travelling. I mean like when I've been in all day, like in Poland and stuff like that. And you've been people are coming in going, "No, you're him off TV, yeah." And then, so you're like, and you stood there with your willy in your hand, and you're like, hiya. So what people don't get as well is, I've said this to the people that make the show, no one in the police gets any sort of advice or media training for a show that is shown and is popular throughout the world. And it's got massive fan base. The biggest fan base I think the show's got is like Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Luxembourg, all that sort of area there. That's Switzerland. That's the biggest fan base. That's where you get most of the stuff from. But you don't get anything about how to being approached when you're and bobbies. You know what it's like being a bobby. You get approached after you're like, what the fuck are you? What do you want? Yeah. You know what I mean? Stand with your back to the wall when you're going to a pub and look for emergency exits. You know what it's like being a copper. They don't give you any advice to how to speak to people, how to be honest in that. And meet kids and kids want to photo with you, and it's humbling. You don't sit there and think I am, because you're not. You're just someone that's been on a local TV show. But the kids love it, and the kids want to meet their sort of like heroes, and so you just smile, take photos, and yeah. The only thing I think is weird. Sorry, the only thing I think is weird is when people come up to me and they don't literally see you and they don't know what to say, but then they'll try and do something with your child, and that's a no-no. So they'll, is this you? And they try and stroke Harriet's head, and I'm like, no. If you want to speak to me, because my daughter's a bit like, your daddy, they're touching me. But mummy's a copper as well, so normally if I get some interaction, Billy will walk off with kids. But we've had it where a few people have walked up, and they're not. I'm not saying they're strange, but you know, they're a bit like they just don't know what to say, and they've like gone under a chin and gone, "Goo," and you're a bit like, don't do that, fucking don't do that. If you want to talk to me, but don't involve the children, you know. And that's the weirdest thing.
So we've talked about Ben on camera, Ben off camera, and how you could be feeling when you're off camera. Have you ever been approached when you're not feeling at your best and you're having to deal with people that have approached you for selfies and all that sort of stuff? Yeah,
so have you heard of Mike Brewer?
Yes.
Who does Wheelie Dealers? So I'm friends with Mike. We've got together through this motor industry. Mike once sat me down and says, you've always got to make time for every single person. This is if there's 1,000 people in a line, you make time for 1,000 people, and you've only got 10 minutes. Sorry, these 10 minutes don't exist. If you want to do what you do, you make time for 1,000 people. And I've stood outside of Mike and I've watched Mike for hours. He says, I've got to go in 5 minutes, Ben. I've got to go X, Y, and Z. Then he stood there for another 5 hours, shaking hands, taking photos, and then afterwards he's like, "Fuck, I've missed that. I've missed this a bit." But his attitude is, you've always got to have time. And it doesn't matter how I'm feeling. It doesn't matter if I'm sad or when people recognise you and, my son's obviously a big, can you just do a quick voice video message me? You've always got to be, even if you're in Aldi and you're in frozen food section and you've got some chips in your hand, you've got to be like, hi. And it's only when you get in the car, you're like, oh God. But you can't ever not be the people that want you to be. I'm not on about a happy, smiley, but you've got to be kind, polite, and respectful to every single person, because they're the people that like what you do. They're the people that follow you, and especially the younger generation. And now, Interceptors, and I sound stupid, now Interceptors has got such a young following, 6-7-year-old now, and I ain't been in it since I think 2018. But our show, West Short Show, is the most shown one on Channel 5, so they still show it now at prime time. When they've run out of stuff, they'll put West Yorkshire Intercepts on. It's on 5 Action, 5 Star, Paramount, Cops on TV. It's on all the Bravo, Quest, whatever it is. It's on all these channels all the time, is West Yorkshire. But now you've got the new generation coming through that following Derbyshire, that following Notts, that following all these other people, and they love it. So you're now speaking to a new generation about it. And it feels weird that people send you a message of them in uniform and they're like that and says, I used to watch you as a kid. And you're like,
you're that old?
Yeah, I'm that old. When did this happen? And you've made me want to join the police. And that's what makes you think it's all worth it. Because now you've created something that person is now helping these members of the public. And that to me makes me smile. That to me lifts my heart, if that makes sense.
We've touched on the Handcuffed Emotions book that you wrote. That was your first one. Do you want to tell the viewers a bit more about the other books that you've written, and just a very brief? description.
My second book was Hotel Tango 2-3, which was my first original traffic call sign. And that's obviously, half of that is a continuation of what wouldn't go in Handcuffed Emotions because there was so much. And then the other half is it's basically more, it's lightened up. This is your proper book now. This is your police pursuits, your funny stories. This is when you've got it right or you've got it wrong, mixed in with the mental health aspect. But this is what you class as the book. And it's a continuation of the journey, what I'm going on writing the books and what I was doing outside the police now when I was writing, if that makes sense. And the last one is 1965 Code 11, which obviously means signing off duty. And if you look at the 1965 on the book, you can see it's broken. We've done it so the 1965 is broken. And that is then the finalisation of the police story, what I'm doing now, but then also taking it back to what made me want to be how I am. So the stories of growing up with my brother. So it's going back into 80s. It's going back into doing in early 90s, doing stuff. So it's a bit of a nostalgia trip, but explaining why things are how they are. And for me personally, I think that's the best one. And it ends. I did a live show. So I did like some sellout shows. And it was a bit of a Q&A. And then it was some pursuit things. And then I did it with a DJ from West Yorkshire that runs like the West Yorkshire radio channel. And we did that and they were really successful, but it ends just as I'm about to go on stage. So it's been all the journey from the police, the retiring, starting all doing what we do up, but then planning this, then literally getting there, stood behind the stage and Danny Milo shouts, "Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Pearson." And then you walk out on stage and that's like how all that journey ends, thinking no matter what life throws at you and no matter how bad things are, there's always a way forward. You've always got two paths. You've always got sitting on the edge of the bath with a knife on your wrist, or you've always got the other path. And sometimes it's harder to choose the other path, but it's better. It works out better. And life is here to test us. We've only got one chance of this merry-go-round. It's not a dress rehearsal. You've got one chance to do the best you can do with what you've been given. So you can either sit there and blame other people for it not going right, or you can say, right, this is what I'm going to do. Put those steps in motion and go for your dreams. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. And that's what we did. We got to a certain level. We did what we wanted to do. And then when he announces me on stage, I go on the stage and then that's it, the book ends. And for me, that's how I wanted to end those trilogy of books.
Okay. No, that's great. What's next? What's next for Ben? I've seen something on social media, something about your own show, potentially.
Yeah, so YouTube is still going really well, and I'm still filming for YouTube. I'll always film for YouTube. I'm in talks with Ian Cook, Blue Lifestyle. Don't know if you've heard of him. He'll be a good person to have on. I'll send you his details. He's just 18 years out of West Mids, and he's just walked away to do his fitness thing, but he's very, very successful in what he does. So there's stuff with him we're in conversations about. I've just been yesterday back on with a TV company again I can't tell you too much about it, but we're just waiting for a thumbs up. But they want it, I want it, they want to run it, they want to get in front of the commissioner. They think it'll do really well on TV. I've wrote the programme, I've wrote the episodes, I've done it all, and I'm just waiting for the official, we're good to go. And then I'm halfway through writing my not last book, but my book that after this I don't think I'd write again. But this one's a fictional crime thriller, and it's about the golden hour, but in your own house. So again, I can't tell you too much about that. And yeah, so everything, as we said before we started, everything's going at 250 mile an hour. And as I said, from the mental health aspect, I can't remember stuff. I can't remember what I'm doing. I need to have X, Y, and Z. So it's hard. The journey's hard, but I thrive on that. I thrive on looking at people's face when you talk to them about mental health. I thrive on meeting these kids at Cops and Cars. So we have this charity event every year. We've got two. One of them's a black tie dinner that sells out within an hour. That's in October, and that's for the Police Treatment Centre at Harrogate.
Yeah.
And Cops and Cars is 2nd of August. 4,000 people turned up last time. That's full of police interceptors, traffic cops, motorway cops, road wars, the original Tim Scotland's coming, who were on the South Yorkshire version. We've got people from the Bill coming. It's the Army. It's everybody. It's the air ambulance. It's North of England's biggest emergency show. That's at the Motorist in Leeds. That's our 4th year. We made £8,000 last year for PTSD 999 and Andy's Man Club. So we've got them coming up, and it's just bedlam. I'll be at emergency services show in September down in Birmingham.
Are you speaking or exhibiting or
a bit of both? Exhibiting, filming, being a bit of an ambassador. So are you aware of this show?
Yeah. I've only ever been once.
Right.
I went as a delegate. I've not been for years.
Yeah, so I've never been. They've asked me to obviously get on board with that. So there's all sorts of things happening. All I'm trying to do is just make the blue light lifestyle, blue light service better, make the people in ambulance, police, fire more protected, better mental health, and then stand up for what they believe in, because it's been too long that people make decisions and don't realise about the officers and staff behind the uniforms, and it does need to change.
Cool. Well, I think it's fair to say you've done amazing since whilst in the job and beyond. And we've covered a lot today: policing, trauma, and life after the police. And you've proven that there is a life after the job. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I don't know whether you're aware, but as a result of coming on,
do I get a mug?
You get a mug. Yeah. So once, I don't know why you're laughing. These are.
I'm not laughing. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
we will say we should be doing mugs. We should be doing mugs.
Yeah, well, we'll have a chat. We'll have a chat after. But yeah, thanks again for coming on, and I'll speak to you
so
soon.
Much, pal.